Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Wisdom International School's digital classroom for mathematics. Children, we have come to the end of this session for understanding quadrilateral. So far, what all did we learn? So in the first session, we learned about polygons, right? So based on the number of sides, we had given names to the polygons, and even we saw how to find the number of diagonals in a polygon, and like how to calculate the total number of interior angles, total number of exterior angles. All these things we had looked. So in polygons, we learned about one of the polygons, like quadrilateral, a four-sided figure, right? So, and we just picked that quadrilateral and we looked at three types of quadrilateral, isn't it? One is the kite, then you learned about parallelogram, and then also we learned about trapezium, right? How the figures look like, all those things. Now in this session, we will learn only about parallelogram, okay? So what kind of different kinds of parallelogram are there? So as we know, we already learned that, the parallelogram, it's a quadrilateral where, the two sides, opposite sides are parallel, and also they are equal, right? So they are also equal and parallel. So these two are, see the green one, these two are equal and they are also parallel, right? And similarly the red one, these opposite sides are equal and parallel again. So that's what it says. See, opposite sides are equal and also opposite angles are equal. That is, see, this angle and this angle will be equal to each other. Similarly, the other two angles, that is this and this, will be equal to each other. And also the diagonals bisect each other. What does it mean? It means that this is equals to this and this is equals to this, right? This is what it means. You mean by it's bisecting each other. Okay. So now under the parallelogram, we are going to learn three types. One is the rhombus, the second one is the rectangle, and the third one is the square. So we are already familiar with the rectangle and square, right? So square means we know that it's like all four sides are equal, right? And the opposite sides are parallel again. And the rhombus also is like all four sides are equal. See, this is the best way to draw the rhombus. But you know what? The difference between the rhombus and the square, see, as I said, it's equal, right? All four sides are equal. In this case also, in this case also. Then why do we give the name square to this and why do we give the name rhombus to this? That's because the square has 90-degree angle between the adjacent sides. Okay, all this will be perpendicular. Here it will not be 90 degree, okay? Two of the angles will be acute, that is less than 90 degree, and two will be obtuse, that is greater than 90 degree, okay? And the other similar property between these two is the diagonals are always perpendicular to each other. So what do you mean by perpendicular to each other is they're going to cut, when they intersect each other, it's 90 degree, like this. Okay, but in square the diagonals are also equal to each other, but in case of a rhombus it's not. See, this line is longer than this one, right? So it's not equal. All right, see now if you look at it, this line is longer than this line. So in rhombus the diagonals are perpendicular but not equal to each other. In square the diagonals are equal to each other and also perpendicular to each other. Okay, now we come to the next one, the rectangle. So the rectangle is like, you all are familiar with it. So it's going to be 90 degree as in case of square, and the sides, the four sides are not equal to each other, only the opposite sides are equal. So this and this will be equal and this will be equal. So this, we are familiar with all these things. And again the diagonals are equal again. Okay, here also the diagonals are equal and they are not 90 degrees. See, you look at this, it's not 90 degree, no, only in rhombus and in square it's 90 degree. The diagonals intersect each other with the right angle, but here it's not 90 degree. Okay, now coming to kite. So we have already learned about the kite. See, the adjacent sides are equal, so these two will be equal and these two will be equal, and they are not parallel to each other. See, none of them is parallel, so it's not a parallelogram. Okay, so this is not a parallelogram. Okay, all right, now come to the exercise 4.4. so let's just go over this. It says, state whether true or false all rectangles are square. So it's false, because rectangle can't be square, right? Rectangle is a rectangle. How can all the rectangles be square? So it is false. But all squares are rectangles. See, if I take a square, it can be called as a rectangle also, right? Where the length and breadth is equal. So here all rectangles are not square, so that's false. All rhombuses are parallelogram. Now see, you take a rhombus. So the rhombus will definitely be a parallelogram, because this and this will be parallel to each other and this will be parallel to each other. So that's true. all squares are rhombuses and also rectangles. So if you take a square, this could be considered as a rhombus also, right? Where all four sides are equal and the angles are 90 degree, right? So these are rhombuses also, and also they are rectangles, right? Where L and B are equal to each other. So this is also true. All squares are not parallelogram. That's definitely false, because square is definitely a parallelogram. See, it's parallel to each other, right? So this is true. Sorry, this is false. They're saying it's not a parallelogram. It is a parallelogram. And then all kites are rhombuses. False. Kites are not rhombus. Rhombus means all four sides should be equal. But kite doesn't have all four sides equal, right? Only the adjacent sides are equal. Now all rhombus are kites. So rhombus is definitely, it looks like a kite, no? See? In rhombus, this and this are equal, and this are equal anyways. Anyway, all four of them turn out to be equal, but it's a kite also, right? So this is also true. Now all parallelograms are trapeziums. Now trapezium means only one pair should be equal. Now parallelogram has two pairs equal, but it definitely has one of the pairs equal, right? So that is a trapezium. Okay, so all parallelograms are trapezium. All squares are trapezium. Yeah, so squares are also trapezium, because according to the rule, trapezium should have one side parallel, and square has one of the sides parallel. Definitely the other side is also parallel. That's not a concern, but one pair is definitely satisfying. So that is a trapezium. Okay, so it's true. Now identify all the quadrilaterals that have four sides of equal length. So equal length, four sides is, see, one is square. Square has all four sides equal. Then you have rhombus. Rhombus also has four sides equal, right? Now can you tell anything else? Okay, we don't have, right? So it's square and rhombus. Now four right angles. So the one which has four right angles is square again, right? You have a square and also rectangle. So rectangle also has all four right angles. See, this is having 90 degree, and even this is having 90 degree, right? Okay. Now name the quadrilateral whose diagonals bisect each other. So whose all bisects each other? One is rectangles bisects, right? Squares bisect, right? And rhombus also, and also the other one is parallelogram, right? See, rhombus and rhombus, okay, and parallelogram. Okay, now they are perpendicular bisector of each other. They are perpendicular also and bisector also. So that could be like again square. Here I forgot to write rhombus and rhombus. Okay. Now are equal, whose diagonals are equal. Whose all diagonals are equal? Rectangle has equal diagonal, square has equal diagonal, and parallelogram also has equal diagonal. Okay, and what about kite? Kite also bisects each other, perpendicular. Yeah, it's a perpendicular bisector. So kite also. Here also you have a kite. Okay. All right. Now, so that's all. So you just have to write all the all the properties over here, the special parallelograms. Okay. That's it. Okay, so you just finish your exercise 4.4 in geometry classwork. So that's all. This lesson is over. Inshallah, see you with a new lesson in a new video. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.